You know the image. Kenneth Williams as the monstrous Dr. Watt.
I've been away, you see.
Fenella Fielding draped in red velvet as the vampish Valeria.
Well, get on with it. I haven't got all night, you know.
And Harry H. Corbett looking both horrified and amused as he stumbles into the weirdest police investigation of his life.
That should be a conversation worth hearing.
Carry On Screaming isn't just another entry in the series. For many fans, it's the masterpiece. But behind the cobwebs and creepy corridors, the making of this 1966 film was full of compromises, clashing egos, personal struggles, and choices that give it a darker edge than its goofy exterior suggests. So let's dig up the hidden truths of Carry On Screaming. Released in 1966, Carry On Screaming was a parody of the Hammer horror films that dominated British cinema at the time. Unlike the seaside postcard humour of Carry On Camping or Carry On Girls, this one leaned into gothic atmosphere, foggy graveyards, eerie laboratories, cobwebbed mansions. And at times it felt more like a real horror than a comedy. Fans love it precisely because it feels different.
You lot!
But producers Peter Rogers and Gerald Thomas weren't so sure. The Carry On brand was built on cheap, cheeky laughs. Would audiences accept something slower, spookier, more stylized? For a while, they almost shelved the idea, thinking it was too far from the trusted formula. The role of Detective Sergeant Bung was meant for Sid James, but Sid was tied up with stage commitments, so in stepped Harry H. Corbett, already famous as Harold Steptoe in Steptoe & Son.
No, I'm putting these on to take a bath.
Corbett was a brilliant actor, but not part of the Carry On family. On set, he sometimes felt out of place among Kenneth Williams, Joan Sims, and Charles Hawtrey, who were used to the rapid-fire innuendo style. Corbett came from scripts with more depth and nuance, and he sometimes bristled at the endless smutty jokes. Still, his outsider energy works on screen. Bung is grumpy, bewildered, slightly stiff.
Great statement, Nick! What are you trying to do, frighten me to death?
Exactly how a man thrown into this ridiculous gothic nightmare should be. Kenneth Williams as Dr. Watt gives one of his most outrageous carry-on performances, shrieking, preening, milking every syllable. Fans adore it.
Oh, isn't he lovely?
But Williams' diaries reveal the darker truth. At the time, he was deeply unhappy, struggling with depression and frustrated that he was typecast as a comic grotesque. He often dismissed Carry On scripts as beneath him. So when you see him cackling wildly,
You thought you'd beaten me, didn't you?
remember, the brilliance hides a man who felt trapped by the very success audiences loved him for. Fenella Fielding's Valeria Watt is arguably the most iconic character in the whole series. Draped in velvet, voice husky, eyes smouldering.
If only you weren't so necessary to me.
She became an instant cult figure. The dress, the voice, the look, unforgettable. But Fielding later admitted she grew frustrated that this one role defined her career. She was a serious stage actress, but casting directors saw her as that sexy vamp from Carry On Screaming. The public adored her, but it narrowed her opportunities. Her most famous performance was also her most limiting.
You know perfectly well what you always say at this time.
Charles Hawtrey's role here is one of the strangest in the series.
Oh, hello. Morning, gents.
Dan, the gardening man, the lavatory attendant. It's a bizarre little cameo, grotesque and oddly unsettling, but utterly memorable. By 1966, Hawtrey was already struggling with alcoholism, and colleagues recalled that his behaviour could be erratic. Kenneth Williams even noted in his diary that Hawtrey's antics could be both hilarious and exasperating. On screen, Dan looks like pure eccentricity, but with hindsight, the oddness feels darker, a glimpse of an actor already on a downward path.
All right. Trousers.
Peter Butterworth, by contrast, was at his best here as Detective Constable Slowbottom, Bung's bumbling sidekick. Butterworth had quickly become a carry-on favourite.
It's me, Slowbottom.
And his timing was impeccable, all wide-eyed confusion and clumsy loyalty. He relished these supporting roles, often admitting he loved being the fool who could quietly steal scenes. His chemistry with Harry H. Corbett grounds the police side of the story, giving the audience a breather from the gothic madness of the Watt family. Butterworth may not be the first actor people think of when they recall Screaming, but without him, Bung's story would fall flat.
Oh, bad luck. Oh!
Like all carry-ons, Screaming was made on a tight budget. Sets were cobbled together at Pinewood Studios, many props borrowed or recycled from other productions. The monster laboratory was second-hand gear repainted to look sinister. The spooky exterior, just smoke machines in the studio car park. Kenneth Williams mocked the sets in his diary, calling them tacked. Yet that bargain basement look gives the film its oddball charm. The obvious artifice makes the parody sharper.
Oh, luxury.
The British Board of Film Censors was less concerned with corpses than cleavage.
We can't afford to take any chances. We must get her back.
Fenella Fielding's sultry poses and costumes pushed the limits of what could pass in 1966. A few shots were trimmed to keep the film from being rated too risque. Fielding herself joked later that the censors seemed more scandalised by her neckline than by the film's murder and monster gags.
Stop it, Sydney! Stop it! Sydney!
For many fans, Carry On Screaming is the pinnacle of the franchise. Critics too often single it out as the cleverest, sharpest of the lot, but that reputation became a curse. Later carry-ons tried to chase its balance of parody and atmosphere, and mostly failed. The hidden truth? Screaming set a standard that the rest of the series couldn't really live up to.
Oh, Albert, you've been gone a long time. There you are.
Pushing the franchise towards cruder, smuttier humour in later years. Unlike most carry-ons, Screaming gets its laughs from horror itself. Corpses, monsters, death. It parodies the macabre, but never fully escapes it.
Look what happened to Dr. Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll.
That's why it feels so different to Carry On Camping or Carry On Abroad. Its humour comes from darkness, and that darkness is why it endures.
Excuse me, dear.
Carry On Screaming is remembered as the oddball classic. Half horror spoof, half saucy comedy, and arguably the most stylish of all the carry-ons. But its hidden truths tell another story. Actors battling personal demons, careers both made and limited by one role, and a production balancing gothic ambition on a shoestring.
Nonsense. Living should just have got old and fat.
It's hilarious, yes, but also proof that sometimes the funniest films come out of the darkest places.
Very nice.
There's a ghost in the corner, a skeleton in the cupboard, and a vampire